Yeah, good afternoon everyone. Just to introduce myself, I am Anuj. I'm a student at the Executive MBA course here in IPL, and I am here to introduce Mr. Mukund. Mr. Mukund is the founder and CEO of EcoRaksha, which is a company which is into e-waste management and asset recovery services. So, Mr. Mukund is from NIT Surat, and I am Calcutta. Basically, he has various keen interests in various social causes, and he works with various NGOs, and he also has a very keen interest in the field of enabling education through technology. So today he is here to talk about the journey of his company, EcoRaksha, and I'm sure we'll get various insights in that talk. And without further ado, let me welcome Mr.
I'd like to thank Anshu and Banu for inviting me here. Just 4 years back, I was on the other side of the table. There was an event in CMRIT, and I was listening with all eyes and ears open, hoping to get some more gyan. Hopefully, I can give you some insights which will help you in your IPL course and have good takeaways. So, so I started my company 5 years back, 2009. Took me almost 1 year to get all the approvals and like the government statutory requirements going because I didn't pay a bribe. Maybe I was foolish back then, but now if you ask me, I would pay a bribe to get things done faster. I needed like 3 levels of approvals, one from Karnataka, one from Delhi, and one more from Karnataka. And you know how it works with the government of India. So then I started off in 2010 when the actual operation started. So what we do is we buy back computers and other IT equipment from corporates. We refurbish them and we remarket it to schools, NGOs, or anyone who can't afford a new computer. In India, as per the 2011 census, there's like a 9% IT penetration at a household level, which means more than 90% of Indian households don't have a computer or have never touched one. So there's a huge, digital divide which exists in the country, and we're just trying to do our bit to bridge the gap. Before I started off, I was working at ITC, and that's where actually the seeds were sown. So ITC has a triple bottom line concept where they say that the bottom line should be measured not only economically but socially and environmentally. So I worked in ITC for 3 years, and I always wanted to do something on my own. I was looking at opportunities which would work with this triple bottom line kind of thing. And luckily I bumped into a family friend in 2008. He does something similar in the US. So what he does is he buys back computers from the OEMs directly. There, in India, you have a lot of issues where the corporates have to own the computers because they get excise benefits through the STPI regime. But in the US, most corporates just lease the computers. So it's always the Dell HPs and the IBMs of the world who own the computers. So this gentleman I met, he worked with the OEMs directly to buy back the computers. He would then strip them down into parts and supply the parts back to companies which do AMCs and other maintenance services. US is a different market where the IT penetration is close to 100%, and there's a fairly mature second-hand market there for computers. So you have computers which go end of warranty in 3 years, but then the computers are used for 5 to 7 years. And that was the sweet spot that he was capitalizing on, where you have computers which are 3 years old, you don't have a warranty on it, but say your LCD went bust or your motherboard had an issue. The manufacturer doesn't have any parts anymore because that model is long off the production line. So he would then supply these spares from the computers that he would have bought from the OEMs directly. But in India, it didn't make sense because you have 90% of Indians who never touched a computer. What would they do with the parts if they don't have a computer? So I thought why should we break down something which can be reused perfectly if it can be refurbished, and that's how like the company started off. The initial challenge was always like, I mean, where's your first client for me to give you business? And I mean, like, that's something that I think every entrepreneur goes through. Luckily, like, I'm from IIM Calcutta, so it opened a lot of doors into corporates, at least to get the initial foot through the door and get the person to hear you out. And we luckily got the first client from Chennai. I mean, even though like we're based in Bangalore, one Chennai like alumnus put me in touch and gave a very strong recommendation, and that's how we did business. So I mean, first time like a company said, okay, here's 100 computers, you can take them and go. I'm like, oh, what do I do now? Because I don't have like the reverse logistics capabilities. These are not packed systems, so these are systems which are like, I mean, it's just lying there, you can just take them and go. So then like I had to figure out like how to get the reverse logistics done, how to put them in cartons, pack them so that it doesn't get damaged in transit, move it to Bangalore. So I mean, there's been a learning curve pretty much every day over the last 5 years, and that's the amazing part of being an entrepreneur, where like you pretty much learn something new every day. So the initial days, I mean, like we would get like 50 computers, 100 computers, and we were pretty happy. So now that the computers were there, now the real challenge started. Okay, how do we start refurbishing them? How do we have like standard processes? And how do we differentiate ourselves from the kabaddi wala sector? Because I mean, like when I started out, people thought I was crazy. They're like, you went to IIM and you're becoming a kabaddi wala. I mean, like you're kidding, right? So then like we had to standardize the procedure. You're not a manufacturing outlet, so I can't say that these are the 10 raw materials which go in. This is the process that goes in, and this is the product which comes out. For me, it's like I don't know what I'm getting. I just know it's 100 computers. How many are working? I have no clue. How many are not working? I have no clue. How many can be repaired? I don't know. So I mean, like setting up the systems in place was the big challenge and the big learning curve. So we started like maintaining standard sheets where like we would pretty much capture like all the specs of the computer, see how many were working, how many can be salvaged, what was the like cost of refurbishing if it made sense. And there is a market out there for second-hand goods. But there is so I mean, like today we have OLX and Quickers, so there's a market price which is very easy to ascertain. Back then in 2009, 2010, like there was no price, so people would say, "ये पुराना है, मैं 2000 ही दूँगा." I mean, like there was no way that we could say, okay, this is the value of the product and convince them saying this is how much it should be valued at. So then like and like as I told you, I don't know what I'm getting. So this time if I get 100 computers and 80 are working, I got a good lot. Say tomorrow I get only 20 working computers and a lot of 100. Then how do we maintain a standard price? So we had to bite the bullet and say, based on these configurations, this is the price that we're going to maintain. If we get good systems, we're lucky, so we get more margins. If we get bad systems, then we have to like absorb the loss. So I mean, like to create a brand, we have to have standard pricing. If I just say, I got this at 5 rupees, so I'm going to give it to you at 6 or 7 rupees. Tomorrow, if I say the same product, I got it at 7 rupees, today I'm going to charge you 8 rupees, the credibility is lost. People don't want like a suspense thing saying, oh, what price did you get it at? And there's always a suspicion in India saying there is no MRP, so are you trying to pull a fast one by charging whatever you want to charge? So one of the first decisions that we took, which is holding us in good stead even today, is like we maintained a standard price saying P4 computer with a 1 GB RAM and a 40 GB hard disk is going to cost you 4,500. So we've not changed prices over the last 2 years because the good thing about electronics is it's a depreciating commodity. So the prices keep dropping. Initially we did lose some money and our profit margins were low, but of late like we've learned how to run the business. So now we work at like around 20 to 30% gross margins, and we've been able to expand our business. So any questions or something? I mean, like.
Is it only with computers? Anything else other than computers?
Computers, laptops, servers, printers, all IT equipment. See, the thing is, we mainly source from corporates, and corporates generally own the IT assets. They don't really own the phones, the tablets, those kind of devices. So it's predominantly IT related.
So what next? I mean, what next? I mean, how are you managing the scale, and how do you want to take your company to the next level?
So we've just started sales offices now in Mumbai and Hyderabad, more for liaising with corporates and to sell to NGOs, and I mean, like, people in India want to have a face at the end of the day. So it's more like a liaison office. All the operations are done in Bangalore right now because we want to maintain like the correct quality of refurbishing. So the logistic cost would work out a little high on the higher side, because even when we pick up from Delhi, we still bring it back to Bangalore and do all the refurbishing. It's going to be that way for at least the next 1 or 2 years before we find sizable throughput coming in from a single city where it makes sense to have a refurbishing facility.
I was asking, like, when you started back then it was okay, but over these years, how is the trend changing acceptance to the second-hand goods? Because now the capability and awareness is changing. So how people are actually seeing buying a second-hand computer?
So there are two parts of this question which I'll answer. One is, like, back then there was a big stigma with second-hand computers because you didn't have the OLX because of the word, and I mean, like, people didn't know like whether what's the market price and whether they're charging a good price or not. The other thing is so technology is fairly mature. Back then we would still refurbish a lot of P3s and all that, and they didn't have the technical, I mean, like, the computer system didn't have enough horsepower to run like a Windows 7 or something, or a Windows XP then. But today a P4 is still good enough. With a 1 GB RAM it can run pretty much Windows 7, even Windows 8 have been loaded on them, and they run pretty well. And they work pretty well for NGOs, schools, and basically for small applications, browsing the net.
So acceptance is increasing.
Yeah.
So you got your first customer, and after that the second customer, third customer was pretty easy. You were there for the reference of first customer.
It was much easier once we've done business, because then we could say that this is the first customer, and it's a fairly large like a credible brand, so people were like more comfortable saying, okay, if you've done business for them, then you can go.
For your expanding business, how the commodities like what are the ownership here?
So we've been experimenting with tablets and phones. The biggest challenge with those devices is the proof of ownership. Because if I buy back from a customer, then I don't really know whether it's a stolen good or like, I mean, like, it's his or hers. So we've been doing it. So it's mixed response. So we're trying to get hold of like a stable supply from where we can get like a good quantity of tablets and phones, but we know that it's not stolen.
When you wanted to start this company, knowing that you were from engineering and MBA, did you have the knowledge of hardware, because you started with some concept from US?
So I'm an electronics engineer, so that helped a lot.
So, did you do any market research before going into it? Because it was a very, as you said in the beginning, it was a very approach where you were just trying to figure out whether things like it was.
So, yeah.
How was the demand side, how was the supply side? Did you do any, and how you went about it?
So e-waste was a buzzword even in 2009, where like every other week you would have an article in the newspaper saying like so many million tons of e-waste is lying in India. It's a like gold. You can track the thing. On the supply side, I always knew that in India, like, computers will be aspirational, because India is, I mean, the IT capital of the world, and people always wanted to have computers. Then back then there were no tablets and smartphones, so I thought like, I mean, like, computers, if I can get good quality computers out there, then and create a brand, then the business would be much higher going forward. Of course, now with tablets and smartphones coming in, aspirationally, they're more aspirational than computers because I mean it's with you pretty much everywhere. Yeah. So when I started off, I knew that the supply side was there. India being the IT capital, there are tons of IT companies which do away with their computers, and there's a big demand side where people don't have computers. So the market research was there, but it keeps changing every day, trends and all.
How do you manage the taxation element? Because now there is a service element to it and a module element to it. So has that been a challenge?
No, so the thing is, there's no service part of it. So we buy back old computers, we refurbish it, and we sell old computers. So we buy a computer and we sell a computer, so it's just sales tax. There's no service tax.
So no gain tax or material gain tax and all that?
No.
So when you went about buying the computers, right? I mean, the first customer, whatever you told in Chennai. So I mean, you were pretty sure that there were no legal implications and complications regarding the procurement of the IT material and stuff like
I
that.
had all the approvals in place by the time I did business. I was an authorized e-waste management company.
Okay.
I had the sales tax registration. That way all the bases were covered.
Okay.
So there were no legal issues.
How do you handle the operation costs?
So the thing is, right now we have a 3,000 square foot facility. We have 7 staff. So we burn around, we spend around 2 lakhs a month on our facility, salaries, etc. But now the throughput is much more, so we can absorb it.
Because 30% operating margin is not operating grass, right?
Yeah.
Grass is pretty good. So how much it converts onto them?
So again, it depends because sometimes we get 70% working computers, sometimes we get 50. Sometimes the spare parts suddenly change. I mean, 1 year back, the hardware prices just doubled overnight because of floods in Thailand. So the general challenges remain. I think Banu was saying, you make your product brief and then they're going to ask you what's the cost of leather or something. Overnight it might change. I mean,
So then how do you plan? How do you plan your year?
we don't. Yeah. Because I made all B plans saying, okay, first year I'm going to do X rupees, second year, third year, doesn't work.
So how do you handle people? I mean, you ask them to leave and you can't.
No. So now we have signed contracts with multiple clients. So we pretty much know that we're going to get anywhere between say 1,000 to 3,000. I mean, we know roughly what's going to be our supply. And now we're in the market, so even we can buy off the market second-hand products and refurbish them if the supply is not there. So if the demand for the demand.
Other than the NGOs, who is your biggest buyer? Because the reason I ask is, I can easily see a lot of people, let's say, a driver's son doing, cannot afford, the latest computer, wants to get him something to learn, how do you, something like that. I don't know if you're hitting that market.
So we have our refurbishing facility, which is after Electronic City, so it's the edge of Bangalore, urban and rural. So on an average, we get at least 50 to 60 people walking into our facility on every day and they buy computers from us.
But how do you reach out to them?
So initially, what we used to do is we would hand out pamphlets in bus stops, near ATMs and all that. This is I'm talking 2009, 2010, to get the word of mouth out around our facility, and that slowly started trickling in. Now we've been in business for 5 years, so people know that we exist. So there's always a lot of people coming. So we're known as a computer outlet rather than an e-waste management.
One more thing, during your journey of 5 years, is there any particular incident that really taught you something?
I can't pick one actually. We broke in on the 3rd year of operations.
So, I was in the US and we have fairs where people come and sell. I've been in a fair where they're selling more computers. So maybe that's something you can try. Do a fair in some city.
We've done that.
And a lot of people come. You have done that. Okay. So how's the rest? where we can make a lot of sales.
It's okay. The thing is, people say, can I get Dell Inspiron? I mean, kind of a thing. So that becomes a challenge for us when we do fairs, kind of a thing. We have participated in a few of them, but people don't understand that we're not manufacturers. They'll say, someone told me that this is a good model. Can I call you after 1 month? Can you get that for me?
But how do you fix the price?
So, I mean, like, we know the market prices, and so we do a cost plus kind of a thing. And we know that if we price at this, we'll always make a 20 to 30%.
And how do you handle the warranty problems? Do you get warranty?
So, like our testing is very stringent, and we're a Microsoft registered refurbisher, so they've audited our facility and offer. So we give a 1 month like replacement guarantee. If there's any issue, we like replace it without any questions, and we give a 1 year service warranty.
So when you approach clients, they try and compare with first-hand sales computers. They talk about alternate. Who do you think is the competition?
So there are no organized players who are doing refurbished electronics right now.
So clients can compare you with just refurbished.
They say OLX में इतने में मिल रहा है आप क्यों इतने
But they also compare it with first-hand goods.
So I mean like our computers are typically 5 years old. So like today if I get a Core i5, I would probably be selling like a Core 2 Duo or even a P4 which might be 7-8 years old. So I mean like P4 starts from 4,500 onwards and a new computer price around 20,000. So I mean like they know that it's already a good price. Generally when, so sometimes we get like even Core i5 kind of laptops, then there becomes an issue because we get enterprise class systems which are like rugged. So even in a Dell or a HP you get a B2B kind, I mean like you get a Dell Latitude versus a Dell Inspiron. So then they say a new Acer is costing so much, why is a Dell costing like just 10% or 20% lower? So that kind of issues do occur.
Are you having any types of NGOs and stuff?
We don't have tie-ups, but we've been working with a lot of NGOs over the last 2-3 years.
Who are the suppliers? I mean, who continue to be your suppliers over the period? So how do you reach out to them? Like, okay, so somebody is ready to sell something, right? So for you, it's not a scale of a OLX or something wherein 1 or 2 computers could not meet your, you know.
So we only buy back from corporates, okay. And typically they do the debonding in lots. So it will be like 100 computers, 500 computers, 1,000 computers.
So how do you know that this particular thing is selling at this point in time? You have tie-ups?
We are always in touch with corporates.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean like so sometimes it takes 6 months from the time I meet them to converting to business.
Okay.
One of the like longest gestation period was 4 years. Where, like I met them in 2010 and like we did business with them earlier this year. So
Do you use OLX as an extension?
we do, but so again in OLX you have people who are very price conscious and there's some who are warranty conscious. So we do list our products on OLX. But yeah, we get a lot of junk calls and something that we have to deal with.
Have you figured out any way to do value add on top of just getting the PC working?
So we are a Microsoft authorized refurbisher. So when we sell computers to NGOs and schools, Microsoft gives us the license at 1/10 the cost that's available in the market. So that's a big value add for a lot of our NGO and school clients. So they get like good refurbished hardware and software at very affordable prices. So that's a very big value add for them. And recently we tied up with Microsoft to even offer commercial refurbished licenses which are half the cost available.
You see your business growing as an integrator, systems integrator, or that sort, because now brands can actually approach you to sell through you, right?
So not really a systems integrator. So now what we've been doing is we've been a lot of the corporates who we buy from, even they have donation programs. So we manage the donation programs as well. So say like they have like 100 computers. So typically they say like donate 30 to this cause and you take the 70 and like whatever else has to be done, you can do it.
Just to add on to that, what I mean is instead of companies selling actually, it could also be brands trying to sell to you. Have you seen
What
that?
kind of brands?
It could be just the Dells, HPs, because there are many system integrators in the market. who actually sort of act as central points for various brands to reach their customers.
Sure.
So that's one option for you to scale your business as well. So you wouldn't be seen as just second hand.
Sure. We've been trying to speak to the channel partners, if I, yeah.
Yeah.
So